So, there has been a new update to Elden Ring. They added some new, they added a new NPC, they added new items, they changed up some shit. So the more I think about it, the more I feel it would be a good idea. One, if I were to delete this guide, and if I were to just start a new game from scratch, because screw it, I haven't even uploaded anything new to YouTube anyway, so... let's see. Honestly, when it comes to best equipment, it's a tie between the Vagabond and the Samurai. When it comes to best build optimization, Prisoner and Confessor are both pretty good. Confessor is a bit more... There's a bit more of a balanced start. Let's see. Samurai has katana and the bow, but I can easily find a katana and a bow, so fuck it, I'm just sticking with my guns, and I'm sticking with the Vagabond. So... let's go with the normal name that I have gone with for all of my Vagabonds. For the keepsake, I always go Stone Sword Key. For detailed appearance, let's go into my favorites. Excuse me. Let's go with that. Not base template for voice. I'm gonna go with the aged voice. You can always change your appearance in the roundtable hold, so there's really nothing keeping. Somebody's at the door. I'll be back in a moment. Somebody dropped a package off, and the dog was going crazy. Well, anyway, I'm going to get this going with a vagabond. Truth be told, I'm going to show an easy way to turn the vagabond into a samurai. The only thing you'll be missing is... well, at first, honestly, the only thing you're going to be missing from this is the samurai's armor until I find it in the normal gameplay.
The fallen leaves tell a story. The great Elden Ring was shattered. In our home, across the fog, the lands between. Now, Queen Marika the Eternal is nowhere to be found. And in the night of the Black Knives, Godwyn the Golden was first to perish. Soon, Marika's offspring, demigods all, claimed the shards of the Elden Ring. The mad taint of their newfound strength triggered the shattering. A war from which no lord arose. A war leading to abandonment by the greater will. Oh, rise now, ye tarnished, ye dead who yet live. The call of long-lost grace speaks to us all. Horalu, chieftain of the Badlands, the ever-brilliant Gold Mask. Fear, the deathbed companion, the loathsome dung-eater, and Sir Gideon Ofnir, the all-knowing. And one other, whom grace would again bless. A tarnished of no renown. Cross the fog to the lands between. To stand before the Elden Ring and become the Elden Lord.
Sounded awesome. But anyway, we start the game. We start off with a gesture called a ring. We can jump. For right now, I'm going to remove the majority of my equipment with only the longsword on. Actually, I can get by with this. I'm gonna try to fight the, boss of this area, known as the Grafted Scion. Let's open the door to this cathedral. And let's get a move on. The starting boss of this area, the Grafted Scion, is hard as fuck. You're not supposed to actually fight him, honestly. This is like one of those fights where you're supposed to die, like in, Demon Souls, except in Demon Souls, it's actually quite... I wouldn't go as far as to say easy, but definitely doable to kill the, demon there and get the goodies, but in this, like, you're basically... The way that this level works is you're basically designed to, come back here later. So I'm going to show with the locked door that's next to the cathedral. There should be a door here. No, I think it's further up the stairs. Anyway, there's a locked door around here that grants you access to this place, allowing you to come back here and fight the boss. Grafted Scion is pretty tough, though. My recommendation would be use a weapon that has either a lot of power or a lot of reach, like the halberd. Halberd is a good starting weapon. It's a poleaxe. It has all the best qualities of a spear and an axe. So with the Grafted Scion, he when he attacks, he will strike you with his he will either strike with his swords or he'll scream at you. The scream is honestly the deadliest attack because it's an area of effect that's not... Yeah, no, there's no way that I can tell yet. I'm just gonna throw the match. Yeah, go on. I'm so glad I muted the mic.
Don't worry, Torrent. Fortune is on his side. We found him here, after all. One of his kind is sure to seek the Elden Ring. Even if it does violate the Golden Order.
There wasn't really much left of that cutscene, it was just my dude waking up. I'm gonna switch to the longsword because it's faster. And this is the tutorial area. So that ghost there said, "Brave Tarnished, take the plunge of learning and remembrance to learn the ways of war." And that basically means go down here and do the tutorial. So, good thing about the Vagabond is you start with the longsword, which I personally prefer over the broadsword. Mainly because the broadsword can only slash, where the longsword can slash and thrust. These nobles don't stand a chance against me. This area is just here to show you the basic tutorial. Things like using the bumper to do a light attack or the trigger to do a heavy attack, as I showed there. And you can also jump with the A button. This is the second Souls game to allow for proper jumping. First one being Sekiro, though Sekiro isn't much of a Souls game. Anyway, with this guy. So that's the Godric Soldier, and the ones with the spear and Great Shield usually like to turtle behind the Great Shield, and you can get behind that by holding the right trigger, which puts you in your weapon stance. In the case of the longsword, the stance is known as square off, where you can either lunge and do a tackle with the trigger, with the heavy attack, or step forward and do an upward sweep with the bumper, which is a light attack. The trigger attack, the sweep is good if you want to break an enemy's guard, and this attack, the lunge with the stab, is really good if you want to close a bit of distance between yourself and the enemy. Oh, very good. There's another Disgraced Noble here. Doesn't take him out easily. That way there is just a gap showing you the boss arena. You can't really access it through that way. But anyway, here's a Stake of America that is used as a checkpoint should you fall in battle. But in this fight, it's meant to show you another mechanic called guard countering, which I'm going to show right now. To do a guard counter, all you have to do is hold your shield up. Then, when you get hit, you can use the strong attack, which would be the right trigger in my case, to do a very punishing attack that deals not just a hefty amount of physical damage, but also a hefty amount of stamina damage. And as you saw there with the Godric Soldier, using a counter attack is a good way of immediately breaking his guard. So over here we get the Strength Gesture. It's basically a gesture where you flex a muscle. And now is the main path to the exit. There's a checkpoint here, it's a Site of Grace. There is a path here that I could take, but I'm not going to risk it because it is a very challenging area. Here we get the Tarnished Furled Finger and the Fingered Severer. The Tarnished Finger lets you make messages to do multiplayer with other people, where the Finger Severer severs that connection. Over here is the exit to the main area. Windgrave, this is the main area of the game. And over here is Knight Varric. Let's chat with him. He gives you some good advice this time around. Anyway, our first goal is to head over to that ruined cathedral because there's a merchant there.
Oh, yes. Tarnished, are we? Come to the lands between for the Elden Ring? Of course you have. No shame in it. Unfortunately for you, however, you are maidenless, without guidance, without the strength of runes, and without an invitation to the Round Table Hold. You are fated, it seems, to die in obscurity. Luckily for you, however, there is one shining ray of hope for even the maidenless. Me, Varre. Take care to listen. Are you familiar with grace? The golden light that gives life to you, Tarnished. You may also behold its golden rays pointing in a particular direction at times. That is the guidance of grace, a path that a Tarnished must travel. Indeed. Grace's guidance holds the answers. It will lead you, Tarnished, to the path you are meant to follow, even if it leads you to your grave. Grace's guidance will reveal the path forward, most certainly, to Castle Stormvale, over on the cliff, the home of the decrepit demigod, Godric the Grafted. It's time you set off, I should think, to Castle Stormvale on the cliff, where Grace would guide you if you seek the Elden Ring, maidenless as you are. It's time to cast if you seek...
Okay, that's it for his dialogue right now. There are some resources here I can gather, including fruit. There are also mushrooms, flowers, herbs. Let's see. I believe it's around here. There should be a signpost that gives you a certain item. Ah, here it is. The small golden effigy. That lets you... Basically, it lets you leave a mark. Not so much that it lets you leave a mark, more so that it locks you into... Well, it doesn't really lock you into. It lets you access a group of players who are basically using the same code. Like, for example, if you're like me and are watching Fighting Cowboy's walkthrough of Elden Ring, you can go... Whoopsie. You can go over to multiplayer. Then from here, you can go into settings, and say for the group password, if you put lowercase f, lowercase c, and lowercase b, the initials of Fighting Cowboy, and press OK, you'll now be in that group, and you can have communications with everyone and anyone who uses that group password. It'll send you messages like, so-and-so became Elden Lord, or so-and-so defeated a finger master, or apologies, but I forgot the title for the person who invites players to assist them. But yeah, they give you like messages like that for other people in the group. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump down here, then I'm going to jump over onto this ruin, where you will find these birds. Birds are a good way of getting items like boy pinions and the four-toed Foulfoot, both of which will come in a lot of handy when it comes to crafting items. The boy pinion is good for crafting arrows, and the Fowl's Foot is good for making pickled Fowl's Foot, which is basically this game's equivalent of the coins that you would use in Dark Souls to gain more item find chance and currency from defeated enemies. There's one such item over here. On this coast here, where there's a, what looks like a geyser of air. That's Spirit Spring. Utilizing it can let you jump up massive heights and cushion your fall from great height. The only problem with it is you can only utilize it if you are on horseback. I don't have a horse yet, so I can't utilize that. And there's some enemies. These enemies are quite tough if you try to beat them with a sword and shield. They're a bit easier if you have a weapon that can be fired. Oh, I managed to break his guard there. Fascinating, I've never seen that happen before. So, from these things you usually get bones. They could either be hefty bones, or thin bones, but either way, you're basically guaranteed to get bones from these, like, fleshy amoebas. I honestly don't know what they are. And one good thing about Elden Ring when it comes to the combat is if you spam heavy attacks, especially if you use jumping heavy attacks like this, you can do what is called a dance break. And when you do that, it stuns the enemy, and in many cases, it lets you get critical hits in on them. Some more thin beast bones here. If I'm correct, there should be some skeletons over here. I'm going to ignore them for the time being, as I'm going to try to take out some of these birds to get their items. Flew away. One wasn't able to fly away. Got another foul foot, which is good. Ah, damn it, I died to the skeletons. Oh well. All I really have to do is just run back here and get that. I should prioritize killing the skeletons first. Which, honestly, that death is even more sad, since there was a dungeon which had a grace in it that I could have used as a checkpoint. I should have done that first. Well, anyway, not the end of the world. Just have to drop down here. Fall damage is simultaneously very forgiving, but very distinctive in this game. The difference between a fatal fall and a safe fall is very slight. My recommendation would be, if you ever find items like, for example, an item that is a piece of multicolored glass, they function like prism stones in Dark Souls, and one good use for them is you can throw them off a cliff, and if they hit the ground and shimmer like they normally would, then that means that the cliff is safe to jump off of. But if they hit the ground and shatter, that means that the cliff is a fatal drop. And I believe the algorithm that determines that is based on your... It's like based on what kind of fall would be fatal for your character. Oh, well, they flew away. Okay. Whatever, not interested in them. I'm interested in getting the skeletons. There's a merchant down here who sells some pretty useful wares. The main thing he sells is, sells some weapons, including a club and a broadsword. But more importantly, he sells a short bow, which, if you're a vagabond, you will have enough dexterity to utilize the short bow. So that is a very good weapon to pick up if you want to fight enemies at a distance. Physical damage isn't very good against these guys. There's a merchant I can find in that cathedral named Kale, and he sells you a torch. And the torch is actually very good against these enemies. These bone blob amoeba fungus poop monster things are very weak to fire damage. So if you want to do good damage against them, then I would recommend going with the fire. Okay, that one died. I'm gonna go over here to where the skeletons are. Said skeletons can drop their weapons if you can kill them in time. There is a trick when it comes to fighting skeletons. When you kill them, their bodies will start glowing white. In order to kill the skeleton permanently, you have to strike their body while it's glowing. If not, they'll just resuscitate. This guy dropped something. Oh, he dropped bolts. Nice. So here is the golden foul foot. Consuming it will grant you a small increase to the amount of money you get. In this game, the currency is referred to as runes. It is simultaneously money and experience. It is very valuable in that sense, since you need it to both purchase items and grow stronger. So while I'm here, I might as well try to clear out the enemies in this area, and I'll also chat with the merchant and get some items from him. The big things I want from him are a club and a bow. I have no idea if I can acquire both, but I will definitely try to acquire at least one of those things. These merchants are usually by campfires, and the campfires almost always have smoldering butterflies.
What do you need? I don't want any trouble.
Understandable. I can only afford one. Unfortunate. Well, I can only afford one at the moment. I'm gonna go with the short bow for right now.
All done? Well,
And I'm going to take out some of the enemies in the area and see if I can get a club. Around here is that cave that I can enter. It will allow me to fight off some enemies known as demi-humans. They are quite aggressive. All but one of them are naturally aggressive to you. Thankfully, they're not very tough. They have decent weapons, too. You will have to, in the case of the demi-humans that wield curved swords, you will have to fight them off in order to get that curved sword. It's called the Falchion, and it is a pretty damn powerful weapon. So anyway, the dungeon that you would need to enter is right by here. It is called the Coastal Cave. It also plays a part in an NPC's questline. But all I'm going to do right now is just rest at it. The Lost Grace has been discovered. Marvelous. And one thing you should note about these caves and dungeons is that you cannot exit them once you enter or rather you can exit them normally, you just can't fast travel from the map until you beat that dungeon. One cool thing they added is if you look on the map, it shows you a little marker with a human on it, with what looks like a robed individual. That means that there's an NPC there that you've come into contact with. The way that it looks to me is that the larger square with a person in it is a fixed NPC who won't move, and the smaller one is an NPC who will move. There are some pretty damn powerful enemies here, including some land octopi. Easiest way to take these things out would be either from range or getting up close to them and just beating them up before they have a chance to beat you. Spamming heavy attacks are a good way of beating them. And as you saw there, I was able to get some positive damage to get a critical hit. One of their attacks is they will basically auto-cannibalize and eat some of their tentacles to regain their. There we go. Spamming the jumping heavy attack is a good way of breaking enemies' guards. Okay, nothing's dead. Here is a juvenile land octopus. They only go down in 2 hits. The important thing about the land octopi is that they almost always drop the land octopus ovary as an item for crafting. Okay. Ow. That does quite a bit of damage. There we go. Again, it's always good to abuse guard counters. Two heavy attacks in sequence with any weapon appears to be enough to break the guard. Good to know. And that's one of the very broken things about Elden Ring. You can effectively chain guard breaks just by spamming the heavy attack, and it is quite useful. I already have 1,000 runes right here, which is good. So, around here are some pretty deadly enemies. Oh, somebody defeated a shard bearer. Ah, that's what the person in the main world that you invade is called, a shard bearer. Okay. Okay, more four-toed foul-foot, or foul-feet, I would say. Well, both the birds ran away. Unfortunate. Yeah, this area is a pretty good place to farm for, items like flight pinions and foul foot. Good place to farm for the flight pinions and foul feet because you just have to kill the goals here. And they are not as wary as the hawks are. There are eagles in this area, and if you antagonize... Oh, hey, look at that. The Earth tree is spewing out larger amounts of its leaves than normal. So that means that if I kill an enemy in this area, I'll basically get a buff to the amount of runes I get for killing them, which is very nice. White pinions, that's good. There's a merchant around here that will sell me the crafting pouch, which I can use to make items. And over here is a hidden item. Try to kill him. His weapons and armor are both very good, especially for this point in the game. Kneel, the bastard. They're quite aggressive. I got his helmet. Out of all of his gear, I would recommend getting the armor, if only because it's a bit lighter than the Vagabond's armor, while not all that lacking in defense. And it is also very fashionable. It has a lot of dark blues, a lot of blacks, brown with a fur pelt. It's a very fashionable piece of equipment, and it's one of my personal favorite pieces of armor. This is a very good message because the thing that's glimmering here is a glittering scarab, and the glittering scarabs drop certain special items. The normal ones that you find are blue and red ones, and over here is a rune skull, is how it's called them. They are just that, skulls that have runes inside of them. Now then, with those, with those beetles, there are 4 varieties. There is a gold one, a silver one, a red one, and a blue one. The red and blue ones drop recharges to your healing flasks. The silver ones, I believe, almost always drop Ashes of War upon killing them. And the gold ones almost always drop crafting materials upon death. And over here are some hawks. Much like the goals, you can kill them to get their items. If I can properly jump up where they are. Let's try dashing and jumping. There we go. One thing you need to be wary about when it comes to the hawks is that they are not as blasted as the goals. If you get close to one, almost all of them will run away, and they will all try to run away as soon as you get close. But they are equally as good for farming items like the flight pinion and the four-toed foul-foot. The thing about the four-toed foul-foot is, as you saw earlier, I found an item called the Gold Pickles Foul-foot. It's the four-toed foot of a fowl, pickled in a golden medicinal solution, a craftable item. Boosts the amount of runes obtained from defeating enemies for a duration of time. Since times of old, the needy would scrape the meat clean from the fowl's claws. In other words, if you're in need of runes, eat the gold foot. If you're in need of upgrade, or if you're in need of item drops, use one called the silver foul foot. Basically, the way that these items work is that they are the inverse of the respective farming items in Dark Souls. So in Dark Souls, the farming item that you would consume if you want to gain a better chance of finding item drops from enemies is a gold item. But in this game, Elden Ring, that is the silver item. And yeah, you can always tell which runes... You can always tell which skulls have runes located in them because they will glow. An easy way to get them is to get your steed and traveling companion, Torrent. Yeah, that woman, Melena, she gives you Torrent. upon reaching a certain number of graces. Or rather, upon discovering a certain number of graces. Until you can get the item that lets you buy bones from merchants, it's always a good idea to try and take out as many of the indigenous fauna as you can, as cruel as it may be, since that is the best way to farm for that item. Anyway, so over here is the Church of Eli, and over here you find a smithing stone on top of that anvil, which you can use to upgrade your equipment, and over here is Kale.
You're a Tarnished. I can see it. And I can also see that you're not after my throat. Then why not purchase a little something? I am Kale, purveyor of fine goods.
So, what if... I'm curious about what recommendation...
You know, if you can spare the rooms, you should buy yourself a crafting kit. A crafting kit allows you to make basic items on your own. Essential, really, if you intend to survive out here for any duration. The kit costs a bundle, and I admit I do take my cut. But the important thing is that you survive. I'm glad you took my warning to heart. You've made an excellent choice.